Hi and welcome to my channel. This is FreeToLand by Zoltan. On today's episode, I'm gonna talk about the six-pack what pilots have, and instead of their body, it can be found in the airplane. I'm happy to see you again. This episode is gonna be about the most important instruments for a safe flight. Of course, there are also instruments which are necessary to have on board. However, they are not part of the so-called six-pack. Now let's see what belongs here. First, the airspeed indicator. Then the artificial horizon, altimeter, vertical speed indicator, turn and bend coordinator, and the heading indicator, or so-called directional gyro. How does this six-pack look like in real life? Like this. And there's a pic taken by myself, just to prove that I fly as well. I'm sure that all of you during your lives have seen a red flag with the writing "Remove before flight." This is the cover of an extremely important part of the airplane. This is the so-called pitot tube. This tube measures the dynamic pressure inside. Of course, there are pitot tubes which can measure static pressures as well. However, static pressure is mostly measured by static ports. Why am I saying this? Because 3 out of the 6 instruments does not require electricity at all. They require either static pressure or both types of pressures. Airspeed indicator. This instrument allows us to see our indicated airspeed. Mostly, this is our airspeed relative to the air. The working principle is not that difficult. There's a small diagram inside of a casing. Static pressure is measured inside of the diagram and outside of it as well, but still in the casing. Therefore, the pressure is equalized. As the airplane accelerates, the dynamic pressure expands the diagram, and this expansion is shown on our instrument. Artificial horizon. However, this instrument is not really necessary when you fly outside of the clouds or according to visual flight rules. But in IMC, instrument meteorological conditions, this is one of the most important gauges you can find on board. Altimeter. This is the instrument you can never fly without. This allows us to see our altitude or height. This means our height above the sea level or the ground. We can decide. Altimeter requires static pressure. This means that before flight and throughout the flight, you need to set a reference pressure. Altitude means the height above the sea level. So every time you fly, you need to set the actual pressure according to your area. This number can be found in the so-called meters. This is the pressure at sea level. If you set this number in your altimeter, you will be able to know your actual altitude, in other words, your height above the sea. Vertical speed indicator. The VSI tells us whether the airplane is climbing, descending, or level during flight. This information is given in feet per minute. So for example, if you reach 500 feet per minute, it means that in 1 minute you will climb 500 feet. This instrument does not require electricity. It requires static pressure. This means that when you climb, the pressure decreases. When you descend, the pressure increases. That's the reason why the VSI can tell you your rate of descent, your rate of climb, or that you are in position. Turn and bank or turn and slip coordinator. This one is a quite interesting instrument on board. It shows 2 things basically at the same time. Thanks to the needle, you can fly a standard rate of turn, which means 3 degrees per second. So you can complete a wall circle in 2 minutes. The ball helps you to get the turn coordinated. You need to keep the ball at the center, because if it moves to the right or the left, your airplane can be slipping or skidding. Heading indicator. Because of the magnetic dip, the magnetic compass shows an incorrect heading in turn, therefore we use the directional gyro. We set the correct heading using the magnetic compass as a reference during the wing's level position via this little knob. You also have to reset the correct heading in every 10 to 15 minutes because as you fly, the magnetic field changes, and this results in a mismatch between the headings shown on your magnetic compass and the heading indicator. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and check my Insta on FreeToLand. If you have any questions or suggestions, don't hesitate to write a comment. See you soon and have a safe landing.